So white people peacefully stretching together as racism and colonial violence. Meanwhile,
Was that the wording in the article?
I just tweaked that a little bit. Yeah. Meanwhile, black on white crime is through the roof, and we can share just a couple recent stabbings of why people say never relax.
How do you like that?
Watch your back.
We'll share a couple of stabbings.
Exactly. Sorry, she's kvetching about all these white women in yoga. Oh my God, it's oppression, and I can't breathe when I look at these slim, trim white women. Yeah. Actual white women are getting stabbed in the back and murdered by black men just going out for a walk. This one in Fargo, North Dakota. This was a little white girl, a junior high student, early teens. She was skateboarding when this black guy randomly attacked her from behind, stabbing her to death. So, and this is the guy.
Just random like that.
Yeah,
right?
It says Fargo, 14-year-old stabbed over 20 times. North Dakota, Fargo.
Yeah, Fargo.
Beaten, strangled by a black stranger when she was out skateboarding. Her attacker was on probation for a conviction for assault. Just why is there so little coverage of this story?
Yeah,
Someone asks
I wonder
on Twitter.
why, right? Wonder why.
No big mention at all. This is North Dakota. That's why I did a tweet earlier. Whether you're in the big city or you're somewhere far out there in North Dakota, never relax, always watch your back, because this is just common. I mean, we could just rattle out a couple recent ones, because we don't want to devote just all the constant shows to this, but it just keeps coming. And I would say it's even worse since all this critical race theory crap. I mean, it's really ramped up.
Yeah, it's nonstop white hatred in the media. As we know, violence begins with dehumanizing a certain segment of the population. If you're being brought in, let's say, to America, I mean, as an immigrant, second generation, third, or whatever, fourth, or maybe even back to the slave days, right? And you're constantly hearing that the only reason why you're being held down and can't achieve anything is because of these goddamn white people, right? They're holding you down. They hate you. All this shit, right? Many of these people, they snap and they turn violent, and that's why they're just randomly attacking, a little girl there in this case, right?
It's absolutely.
Her name was finally out too. This is one of those things they didn't even release the name of her, but apparently her name was Jupiter.
Yeah.
So that's the only reason why we know that Jupiter Paulson, Scandinavian name, Fargo, way up there, right?
Can you imagine just skateboarding?
Yep. No.
Attack on the skateboarders.
Yep.
I see kids up here skateboarding, and they're the normal kids too. Yep. And there was another one. This pregnant woman was walking on a trail. This was in Atlanta area with her toddler when this black guy comes up, stopped her to talk. She walked away probably after she realized he was a bit unhinged. And then when she turned her back, he stabbed her in the back. Stabbed her in the back. Her kid was there, so her kids witnessed this. She survived, but she was 5 months pregnant, now has serious spinal injuries, and her 5-month-old baby had to be delivered early via C-section. I would be utterly enraged. I would be enraged if this happened to me. No big mention of this in the media either.
Nope, nothing.
So while blacks are crying about this supposed racism in yoga, or how hard it is while they're getting a tat because these evil racist white people, they are literally fucking stabbing us in the back and murdering our people. That is literally
well, again, as I said before, there's no public hearing on why there is such a disparity in the statistics, for example. They won't even recognize it. If you even share the statistics, you're the problem, right? There's no debate about that, and it's to say it's all this like superficial. I have a couple of stories later too, after like the whole anti-white segment that we're doing here, but just to show that like they're nitpicking that like the ink that you use for tattoos is like white supremacy because it was aimed for white. Like that's the bullshit that they're picking about. And they have to go back to 1921 Tulsa to prove how bad white people are, or one of the case of like Emmett Till in like 1955
these 10 white guys beat up this one black guy who was about to rape someone or try to rape someone.
Or did rape someone, right? Exactly.
Right? But there's always a reason for why.
But this stuff is just incessant every day, and we're not we're not the ones who are covering this every other day or so when we do streams and like all the time kind of thing. But it's something
it needs to be
but it needs to be highlighted
to show what's actually happening in the hypocrisy.
Because you also know that if many of these cases we're talking about, if the races were reversed, there would be national news, and there would be a conversation in the news media of what do we do about these white people attacking non-whites, right?
It's outrageous. And is this going to be a hate crime?
No.
When they find this guy, by the way, they're like looking for him. They haven't even found him yet. No.
No, they don't care.
It's enraging.
Yes, it is. Let me close a couple of windows here.